The first time I saw him, I thought he was a trick of the light. A ripple, a distorted reflection of the setting sun shimmering on the placid surface of Lake Serenity. My grandmother, a woman whose roots were as deep as the ancient oaks that lined the shore, had warned me about the lake. She'd called it fickle and unforgiving, but never spoken of any man. I was 15, spending my summer break with her in the old, creaking cabin that hugged the edge of the woods. She was a woman of few words and fewer comforts, but I loved her fiercely in the quiet intimacy of our time together. That evening, I'd been sitting on the rickety dock, the scent of pine and damp earth heavy in the air, when I saw him. He emerged from the water like a creature born from its depths. Not a casual swim, but a slow, deliberate rise, his skin slick and glistening. He wasn't wet like someone who'd been swimming. He shone. His hair, the color of dark, polished wood, was plastered to his head, and his eyes, a startling, glacial blue, never left my face. For a heart-stopping moment, we were locked in a silent communion. Then, just as quickly, he slipped back under the surface, leaving only widening rings of disturbed water in his wake. I told my grandmother about him the next morning, hesitantly, over a breakfast of burnt toast and strong, bitter coffee. She didn't say a word, just stared at me with those knowing eyes, a strange mix of fear and resignation flickering within them. He's not harmful, is he? I finally asked, the question hanging in the heavy silence. She sighed, the sound like the rustle of dry leaves. The lake takes what it wants, child, she said, her voice rough with age. And sometimes it gives back. Her cryptic words only fueled my fascination. Over the next few weeks, I found myself drawn to the lake, spending hours on the dock, watching, waiting. I saw him again, numerous times, always at dusk. Each encounter was the same. His slow, silent emergence, his unwavering gaze, then his swift disappearance back into the depths. He never spoke, never gestured, never acknowledged me beyond that piercing blue stare. The fear I'd initially felt morphed into something else, a strange, undeniable pull. He was a mystery, a secret whispered by the lake. I began leaving small offerings for him. Smooth, gray stones I collected from the shoreline, wildflowers I carefully picked from the meadow, a worn, leather-bound book I loved. He never took them, they would simply be gone by the next morning, replaced by nothing. Then one evening, the lake mirrored a sky pregnant with storm clouds. The air was thick and heavy, charged with an almost palpable energy. I was on the dock, the wind whipping my hair around my face, when he appeared. He emerged further than usual, standing waist-deep in the water, his shoulders broad and strong. He looked different tonight, less ethereal, more solid. And for the first time, he spoke. His voice was low and resonant, like the rumble of distant thunder. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his words barely audible above the rising wind. I didn't know what to say, just stared at him, my heart pounding in my chest. "The lake," he continued, his gaze shifting to the swirling waters, "it doesn't like connections. Find another place to be." Then, with a single, powerful movement, he plunged back beneath the surface, the lake swallowing him whole. The storm broke then, a furious deluge that washed away the lingering silence. That was the last time I saw him. The lake remained, as always, beautiful and mysterious, but the man from the depths was gone. My grandmother died that winter, leaving me the cabin and the memories that clung to it like the scent of pine needles. Years passed. I grew up, moved away, built a life far from that secluded shore. But the memory of him, the man from the lake, remained, a persistent echo in the quiet corners of my mind. I often wondered about the warnings he had given, the strange nature of his existence. Was he a guardian of the lake? Or a prisoner? Perhaps both. I returned to the cabin many years later, a woman weathered by life, seeking solace in familiar surroundings. The lake was still there, still serene, still holding its secrets close. I sat on the dock, the wood groaning beneath my weight, and I knew, with a certainty that went beyond reason, that the man was still there, somewhere within those depths. He was a part of the lake, as the lake was a part of him. And maybe, in some small way, he was a part of me too. The lake takes what it wants, and sometimes, it gives back. But it